Okay, so this is a review for your test tomorrow. I strongly suggest that you actually write these down, work these problems several times. They're very similar to your test tomorrow, so if you can do these problems, you should be able to do well on the test tomorrow. Alright, so here we go. Example 1. We are going to solve the following by factoring. So when it says by factoring, that means that you don't have to use the quadratic formula, you can factor. So if you notice, remember this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square, and we're subtracting. So this is going to be difference of squares. Okay, so remember I can draw my two sets of parentheses because I know that I'm factoring. I take the square root of the first term, which is 2x, the square root of the second term, which is 4. I put a minus and a plus. Okay? But it says to solve it, so that means that we actually need to get an answer. So then I'm going to split them. I'm going to do 2x minus 4 equals 0. 2x, ooh, that's an x, plus 4 equals 0. And then you just solve. So I add the 4 and divide by the 2. So x is equal to 2. Over here I subtract the 4, divide by the 2, so x is equal to negative 2. Okay, so solving by factoring means you factor it and then you solve it down. Alright, remember that if you have 4x squared minus 16 is difference of squares. So that's the first example. Second example. Alright, we're going to solve using the quadratic formula. So I specifically say that you need to use the formula. So it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Hopefully by now you can sing the song and you can sing it to yourself. Alright, so this is a, b, and c. So we have a negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times 2 all over 2 times 3. Okay, now we need to simplify that. So negative 1 squared is 1, 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24, so we're doing 1 minus 24, which would be negative 23. So I should get x equals 1, because it changes sign, plus or minus the square root of negative 23 over 6. Now in the last test, a lot of you did not actually multiply this out. You need to multiply it out, because 2 times 3 is 6. Okay. Now we learned when we get a negative under the square root, we can't leave it there anymore. So we're going to actually take out the I. So we're going to have 1 plus or minus I square root positive 23 over 6. And that's your answer. Okay? So make sure that you're typing this part into the calculator correctly and you know what's going on so that when you get a negative, you can pull out the I. Alright, that's our second example. Our third example. This problem will say to simplify. I forgot to write that on there. Okay, so we're simplifying. Simplify. Alright, so it's right beside each other, the parentheses, which means we FOIL, our old school favorite thing. So we do 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times a negative 4 is minus 8i. 3 times 5 is positive 15i. Then 3 times negative 4 would be minus 12i squared. Okay? I squared appears, we can just cross it out, change the sign of the 12. So we have 10 plus 12 is 22. We have negative 8 plus a 15 would be positive 7i. So remember, when you're foiling, your answer should either look like this, meaning a complex number. This is complex. So you should have a number with an imaginary number, or it should just be the number if something in the middle cancels out. But no matter what, you should not have an I squared in your answer when you're foiling. Okay? So that's our third example. Our fourth example says, which of the following functions has zeros at negative 15 and 6? So this is a multiple choice question because I took it straight off the test. It wants you to figure out how we could put negative 15 and 6 as factors. So it's going to say something like y equals, and it's going to have parenthesis sets, x and x. Now if these are the zeros, meaning these are the roots, it means the graph's hitting at negative 15 and at positive 6. So we don't really know if it's opening up or down, but we know it's going something like that. Ooh, that's a terrible problem. Okay, but remember, these numbers are the numbers we get after we set it equal to 0. So we have to actually add them or subtract them back over to the other side, meaning it's changed signs. So it should be x plus 15, and it should be x minus 6. So when you choose your answer choice, make sure you switch the signs of the numbers when you put them back into their factored form. Hint, hint, hint. Okay, that was our fourth example. Our fifth example. If the value of the discriminant of a quadratic equation is 64, make sure you circle that, what type of solutions should you get when solving the equation? So remember, we have 4 types of solutions. We have one real root, which is when our discriminant equals 0. We have 2 rational roots, when our discriminant is equal to a perfect square. We have 2 imaginary roots, when our discriminant, I'm abbreviating, is equal to a negative number. That's number, not hashtag. And we have 2 irrational roots, with our when our discriminant is equal to a non-perfect square, okay, and positive. So looking at 64, the square root of 64 is equal to 8. So that means I'm going to have 2 rational solutions. So you would have written down for your answer 2 rational roots. Okay? So that's a quick review for your test tomorrow. There's 5 questions on here. I would maybe watch this video a couple times so that you know what's going on. And I would definitely write down the problems and try to work them by yourself to make sure you get the same answers that I got. And then if you do, you should be totally okay for your test tomorrow. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow.